my towel. Right, okay, so what we're going to do then, we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up on the mat to start with, okay? So the first thing we'll do is we'll just set ourselves up, shall we? So we're just going to bring ourselves down onto the mat. Your head is nicely supported on your towel or whatever it is that you want to use, okay? And then we're going to set ourselves up with the feet and knees hip width apart. And then we're going to make sure we're in a neutral position. So we just want a little curve in the lower part of the back. And once we find our neutral position, we can engage those abdominals. We can just draw them in a little bit so we're nicely supported in the lower back. We've got the arms down to the side. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to start with our scissor legs. We're just going to float one knee up. So that's all we're going to do. Float one knee up and then float it back down. We'll do a few of those first and then we'll add in some arm movements. So you can start with either leg. We'll see if we can get the breathing going a little bit, especially on this one because it's nice and simple. So we'll take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're going to float one knee up and then breathe in as you lower it back down. Then we'll breathe out and we'll float the other knee up. And breathe in to lower it back down. Wonderful. Off we go again. So it's a nice, steady movement. It's nice and controlled. Okay. But what you really want to focus on while you're working those legs is what is going on around the center of the body. Okay. So you've got to maintain that neutral position so your lower back doesn't arch. Keep the abdominals pulled in a little bit, because that will help to fix your pelvis. Keep it nice and still. And then we can just float, concentrate on floating those legs. Wonderful. That's looking good. We haven't got any problems with that at all, have we? Fabulous. Let's rest the feet down. Let's add in the arms. We'll warm the arms up a little bit. So we're going to start with the arms up to the ceiling this time. We're going to do the same legs again. But this time, as we float one knee, we're going to send the opposite arm overhead. And you can take that arm back as far as you want to. Okay, so let's have a little go. So we're going to take a breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, we're going to float one knee up. The opposite arm will go overhead. And then you'll breathe in to come back to your starting position. Then we'll change sides. So we'll float the other knee up. The opposite arm will go over. And then breathe in to return. And again, breathing out. Opposite arm to leg. And breathe in to return. And again, breathing out. Opposite arm to leg. And breathe in to return. Wonderful. Let's keep that going nice and steady. Fabulous. That's looking good. Let's just do one more on the other side. Wonderful. Rest the feet on the mat, bring the arms down as well. Wonderful. Okay, so we've still got the feet and knees hip width. We're still in that neutral position. Now this time we're going to do our one leg stretch. So all we're going to do is we're going to keep the foot on the mat and we're just going to slide the leg away, okay, until it's nice and straight. And then we're going to slide it all the way back in again. And we're just going to alternate the legs. So let's do that one next. So we've got the arms down by the side of us. We're going to take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're going to straighten out the leg. And then breathe in as it returns. And then breathe out as we straighten out the other leg. And breathe in as it returns. Wonderful. So when you slide the feet back towards you, make sure that your feet are still hip width apart rather than bringing them together. That's it. So the foot stays in contact with the floor the whole time. Wonderful. Now just be aware of that neutral position again. Don't let the lower back arch. Keep the abdominals pulled in nicely so your lower back is nicely supported as you're doing it. Fabulous. That's looking really good. Let's just do one more now on the other leg. Here we go. Breathing out. Slide the leg away. And bring it back in. Fabulous. Okay. Let somebody in. I think we've lost somebody. Oh, there we go. Let's let them back in again. Okay then. Right. So this time, let's add in some more arms. We'll do the same leg movement again. We'll start with the arms to the ceiling again, but this time we're going to send both arms overhead. We'll do that as we slide the leg away, okay? Now, you've got to really focus on keeping everything still around the center on this one, okay? So let's give it a go, shall we? So we're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to slide one leg away. Both arms go overhead, and then breathing in as you come back to center. So we'll change legs, slide the leg away, arms go overhead, and then come back to center. And again, breathing out, arms go overhead, and come back to center. Wonderful. So nice and steady, not rushing it. So you keep going. I'm just going to have a little look. So you want to make sure that you've got that foot on the mat the whole time. Slide it away rather than picking the leg up and straightening it out, because that can put a bit of too much pressure on the lower back. Wonderful. That's looking good. Nice and steady. We don't want to rush it. Here we go. Just one more on the other leg. And then you can relax the arms down at the end. Wonderful. Okay. Have you got your cushions handy? Or an extra towel? Okay. What we're going to do this time is you're going to take that support, whatever it is you're using, and you're going to pop it between your knees, okay? So you're going to hold on to it with your knees. You're going to have to bring your feet together this time, okay? So the feet come together, ankles are together, and then what we'll do on this one, we'll just have the arms out to the side a little bit. So they're just out to the side, out of the way, okay? Now, you've got to just squeeze that knee support just a little bit, not too much, just so it doesn't slip out of place. Now, what we're going to do, keeping the feet together, we're going to send the knees from side to side. So shall I show you? We're just going to send the knees over, not all the way to the floor. I'm just going to go about halfway to the floor. That will be plenty. And then we'll come all the way back up to center. So we'll go from side to side, shall we? Okay, we're not going to turn the head. We'll keep the head where it is. I've still got the abdominals nicely engaged. So we're going to take a breath in as we send the knees over to one side. Not too far, just a little way. And then as you breathe out, we'll bring the knees all the way back to our starting position. Then we go the other way. So we breathe in, and we send the knees over to the side. And then breathe out, and they come all the way back up to center. Wonderful. Off we go again. So breathing in, knees go over to the side. And breathing out, they come back up to center. Fabulous. That's it. That's looking good. So again, nice and steady. So what we're doing on this one is we're just mobilizing the lower spine a little bit. Okay, so it's a really nice exercise to do this one. If you wake up in the morning and you feel a little bit stiff in the lower back, it's a nice one to do just to loosen things up. So we'll just do one more. And it will come back up to our starting position. Now, we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to get the inside of the thighs working a little bit. So you've got that support between your knees. So every time you bring your knees back up to the center this time, I want you to squeeze the knees together. Okay, so give them a nice big squeeze. But when they go out to the side, you can just release a little bit. So we're only squeezing as the knees come back up. So shall we try that one? So here we go. We're going to take a breath in again and send the knees over to the side, just to about halfway. Now, you're going to breathe out. Squeeze the knees together and bring them all the way back to that starting position. Release them a little at the top. Breathe in. Knees go over to the other side. Wonderful. Breathe out. Squeeze the knees and bring the legs back to their starting position. Release a little at the top and off we go again. So breathing in, knees go over to the side. Breathe out, squeeze your support and bring them back to the ceiling. Wonderful. We'll do it again. We'll do a couple more. So by adding in that squeeze, not only is it working those muscles on the inside of the legs, but it brings us back to that nice setup position where we finish in that neutral position. So it helps us just to be aware of where we finish and make sure that we're not arching the back before we set off again. So we'll do a nice big squeeze And then we'll come all the way back up to the center. Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to move my knee support, but I'm going to keep hold of it. We're going to roll onto our side, push ourselves up, because this time we're going to come into our side lying position. So you'll need that support again. Okay. And I've just got my towel on top of mine just to make it a little bit softer. Okay, so let's set ourselves up then, shall we? So we're going to rest our head down on our support. And we're going to have the arms out in front. Okay, now I've got my knees bent. Okay, and my feet are roughly in line with my spine. Okay, now what I want you to do to help us engage through the center, so by switching on those abdominals and getting them working a little bit, take your top hand and put it on your top hip. Then what I want you to do is I want you to breathe out and push that top hip away a little bit. Okay, so push it away. And as you push it away, it might feel like you're lifting out of the mat a little bit. And as you push and lift, you can engage through the center and just draw in those abdominals a little bit. And once you draw in the abdominals, hopefully it will fix you in that position so that you don't sink back down into the mat again. Okay? Right. Oh, let's do arms, shall we? Let's do an arm one in this position to start with, I think. We're going to do our arm openings. So all we're going to do is we're going to take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, you're going to float that top arm up. And you're going to turn your head and follow your hand and take it as far as you can until it won't go any further. Then just hold it for a breath in. And then as you breathe out, we're going to bring those arms back together. Wonderful. And then we'll do it again. So we're going to breathe out. We're going to turn the head, follow the hands. Take that arm as far as you can. Breath in to hold it when you can't go any further. And then breathing out. We'll bring those arms back together. Wonderful. Let's do a couple more. I really like this exercise. It's really nice. It gives you a nice feeling of openness through the front of the chest. It gives you a little stretch there. Stretches the front of the shoulders a little bit. It's quite an area that a lot of people get quite tight in the chest. So it's a nice one to do. Breath to hold. And we'll bring those arms back together. Wonderful. Keep the arms there. Let's do something with the legs then this time. Okay, so we're still engaging through the center. We're going to float the top leg up to about hip height. And then I want you to straighten it out. So the legs at about hip height, no higher than that. But I don't want you to let it drop down any lower either. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little lift and lower with that leg. So we're just going to float it up just a little bit more. And then bring it back to hip height. Okay, and then we breathe out, we float the leg up just a little bit. And then we bring it back down to hip height. And then we do it again. So we float the leg up and bring it down to hip height. Breathe out, float the leg up, bring it down to hip height. Wonderful. So you want to get that leg as straight as you possibly can. So we're not really looking for too much height on this one. Okay, just float it up a little bit, that's it. Wonderful. Here we go. Last one. Float it up and back down, and then we can bring those legs together. Wonderful. Okay, so let's do another one. We'll do leg circling this time. So we're going to float that leg up again, straighten it out so it's at hip height. Nice straight leg. I'm squeezing the front of my thigh, so I can really work those thigh muscles as well. Now what we're going to do this time is a little bit of circling. Okay, nice small circles with the leg. We don't want to make the circles too big because we want to keep everything nice and still around the center of the body. Okay. That's it, and then we can change direction with the leg and go the other way. Wonderful. That's looking good. Okay, now this time, let's bring the knee in towards the chest, but I'm just going to rest it down on the floor, just in front, because that's a nice position to come into. It just relaxes those muscles after they've been working. And if you feel them in your hip there, it's just a nice position to be in to relax those muscles. Wonderful. Okay, let's do the legs together. Let's do one more for the legs. Okay, well, hips. This one is a really good one for strengthening the hips, this one. I use this one a lot. Okay, so we're going to do the clap. So with this one, we're going to keep the feet together and we're just going to open out the knee. Okay, that's all we're going to do. So we'll do this one with the breathing. So we'll take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're going to open out the top knee and then bring the knees back together. And again, breathing out to open out the top knee and then bring them back together. Now, on this one, it's really important that you keep the pelvis nice and still. So sometimes I tell people to put their hands on the top hip there, okay? You want to keep that pelvis as still as you can because what can happen is you can roll backwards. Can you see that? I'm rolling backwards. And then that exercise isn't very effective then because it's not targeting those muscles in the hip that we want to work. So you want to keep the pelvis still and just move the leg. Nothing else should be moving. Wonderful. Okay, here we go. Here's our last one. And then shall we bring that leg back up into our rest position for a second? That's it. Wonderful. You keep it there for a second. Wonderful. Okay, let's bring the legs back together. I'm going to push myself back up to sitting. We're going to have to do that on the other side now, aren't we? So let's switch sides. Okay. So I'm putting my support the other side of the mat. And we're just going to set ourselves up in exactly the same way again. So we've got the arms out in front. We've got the feet in line with the spine. Knees are bent again. Okay, and we want to engage through the center, don't we? We want to draw in those abdominals a little bit so we're nice and supported. So you can do that by pushing that top hip away again, drawing in those abdominals. Okay, so should we do the arm one again? Do our arm openings that we started with? Okay, so here we go. We're going to take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're going to open out the arm, turn the head, follow the hand, take it as far as you can, hold it there for a breath in, and then breathing out, we'll bring those arms back together. Wonderful. Here we go. Breathing out, open out the arm, follow the hand, take it as far as you can, hold it for a breath in, get that nice stretch through the chest before you bring those arms back together. Wonderful. I'll have to do a couple more, won't we? Here we go. Breathing out, open the arm, turn the head, follow the hand. And then bring those arms back together. Wonderful. Here we go. Last one. Breathing out. And then we'll bring those arms back together. Fabulous. Okay, let's go and work those legs again, shall we? So make sure you're still engaging through the center. We'll do our lift and lower first. So we'll float the top leg up and straighten it out. Okay, we're going to lift it up and down. So as we breathe out, we'll float it up a little bit more. And breathe in, let's bring it to hip height. Breathe out, float it up, and bring it down to hip height. And again, breathe out, lift, and lower. Breathe out, lift, and lower. And again, breathe out, lift, and lower. That's it. So remember to keep that leg as straight as you can. Squeeze the front of the thigh. Get all those muscles in the leg working as much as you can. That's it. Here we go. Here's our last one. Float and lower. And then we'll just bring those legs back together for a second. Okay, shall we try the circling one again? So here we go again. We're going to float the top leg up and straighten it out. Keep the circles nice and small, remember. Off we go in your own time. Nice and steady. Not rushing it. That's it. Wonderful. That's looking great. Let's change direction. Fabulous. Wonderful. Okay, shall we bring that knee in towards the chest and rest it down on the floor in our rest position? Wonderful. Okay, so we've got one more to do for the legs, and that's our clam. So we'll bring the legs back together again. So remember on this one, it's important to keep the pelvis still. Okay, so you can put your hand on your hip like I showed you on the last one if you want to. You don't have to. Okay, I think I'll keep mine here. We're going to keep the feet together and open out the knees. So as you breathe out, we're going to open out that top knee and then bring them back together. Breathe out, open out the top knee and bring them back together. So again, nice and steady, not rushing it, really focusing on what's going on around the center of the body, keeping the pelvis nice and still. Now you might find now that we've just worked on the other side, especially on this exercise, there's a difference from one side of the body to the other, and that's quite normal. Quite often we are stronger on one side than the other side of the body. I think this is my weaker side. I can't quite open my knee as much on this side, okay? But with practice, we can strengthen those muscles and we can open out the knee a little bit more. Wonderful, doing a great job. Should we just do one more? And then once we've done this one, I think we can bring that leg back up into our rest position for a second. Hopefully you could feel those muscles in the hip just starting to work a little bit. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to bring the legs back together. We're going to push ourselves back up. Okay, so I think we've finished with our support, so I'm going to move mine away, but we still need our towel. Now, we're going to do a little bit of work face down, okay? Now, the reason I'm doing a bit of face down work with you is because these exercises are really beneficial for working the upper part of the body, the upper back. So they're working your postural muscles. So instead of walking with sort of the shoulders coming forward a bit, it will encourage us to just be a little bit more upright so that when you're walking down the street, you feel like you're standing taller, okay? So we're going to work those muscles in the middle of the back, okay? And in the upper back, just to help our posture and strengthen those muscles a little bit. Now, this time I have rolled my towel up. Hopefully you can see that. You can fold it if you want to. But what that is for is to rest your head on. Now, before you come down, let me show you the first couple of exercises that we're going to do, because it's hard to see when you've got your face down in the mat, isn't it? So I'm just going to show you the first couple. So I've rolled that towel up so I can rest my forehead down on the towel. I'm going to bring my arms down by my side and my legs are together. Now the head is staying down on the towel, but my arms and my shoulders are really relaxed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to float the arms up and we're going to reach and we're going to see if we can try and reach and touch our toes and then relax the arms and shoulders back down. So we're going to float and reach, try and touch the toes and then relax the arms down. Okay, so that's the first one. That was called the dart. The second one, I'll show you this one as well. We're going to bring the arms into what I call a swan position. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. My elbows are out to the side. The elbows are bent. And on our first one, okay, we keep the head down again. We're just going to float the arms, okay? So you can see them just floating up off the floor a little bit. But I'm being careful not to lift them too high, okay? Just lift them 2 or 3 inches up off the floor. That's all we want to bring them up, no higher than that, okay? And that one is our swan. And once you've had a go at that one, I'll move that one on a little bit for you, okay? So let's come down onto the mat, fold or roll your towel to rest your forehead on. Now, when you bring your head down, think of nodding your chin to your chest a little bit, okay? Because you don't want to squash your nose, but you do want to have the back of your neck nicely lengthened and nice and straight, so you don't feel any strain on that neck. Okay, so nod your chin to your chest, forehead comes down onto the towel, bring the legs together, arms are down by the side, and then just draw in the abdominals a little bit if you can. It's a bit more awkward in this position, I always find, but do your best. Okay, now keep the head down on the towel. Let's just float and reach those arms. So we're going to take a breath in. And as you breathe out, you're going to float the arms, lift the shoulders a little bit, reach and see if you can touch those toes. And then as you breathe in, just relax the arms and shoulders back down. And then we do it again. So we breathe out, float the arms and shoulders, reach, really reach with the arms, see if you can touch the toes. And then relax back down. Wonderful. And again, breathing out, float the shoulders, reach with the arms, see if you can touch the toes again. Wonderful. Now, if you wanted to, while you're doing this, you could give the legs a little squeeze. So you can squeeze your knees and your ankles together just a little bit, just so that you're working the legs a little. Here we go, one more time. Breathing out, flat and reach with the arms, try and touch the toes. And then relax back down. Wonderful. Okay, let's bring our arms round into that swan position this time. We'll separate the feet a little bit this time. We'll have the legs nice and relaxed. You still put your head down in the same position, and all you're going to do is float those arms up and down. We'll do it with the breathing again. So we're going to take a breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, we're going to float the arms just 2 or 3 inches up off the floor, and then breathe in to lower down. And again, breathing out, float the arms up just a little bit, and then lower back down. Wonderful. Now keep that going. I'm just going to have a little look. Now, what I want you to think about on this one, because we're looking at posture as well, improving our posture, is to think about your shoulder blades on this one. So every time you float your arms up off the floor a little bit, feel like drawing your shoulder blades down your back a little bit as well. Okay, not too much, just a little bit. Okay, so you're going to float the arms, draw the shoulders very slightly down your back. That's it. And then lower everything back down onto the floor. Wonderful. Let's do a couple more. Here we go. Breathing out, float the arms, draw the shoulder blades down a touch, and then lower that down. Wonderful. Here we go. Last one. Float the arms and lower that down. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to see if I can talk you through the next one then, save you moving position. Okay, so we're going to do our swan arms again. We're going to float them up. Okay, so let's do that first. Let's just float the arms a couple of inches up off the floor. Hold them in that position. Now, can you reach your arms forward across the floor, straighten them out as much as you can, and then I want you to bring your arms back to that swan position. Hold them in that swan position again. Now this time, can you draw your elbows down towards your hips? Pull them down as close as you can. That's it. And then take your arms back to that swan position. Wonderful. Let's do that again. So we straighten the arms out across the floor, reaching out overhead, and then bringing the arms back to swan position. And then pulling the elbows down towards the hips. That's it. Let's keep it moving this time. So just straighten out the arms out in front. And then pull the elbows all the way down to your hips. And again, so we've got the arms hovering the whole time. Keep those arms hovering. Don't let them rest down, not unless you really need to. Okay, let's see if we can keep them hovering. Wonderful. Fabulous. Pull the elbows down one more time. Take them back to swan position. And then we'll rest them down this time. Fabulous. Wonderful. Okay. Shall we sit up for the next one? Let's sit up for the next one, okay? Just so that you can see what's going on, okay? So we won't use the towel on the next one, okay? We can move that away. What we'll do is instead we'll rest our head on our hands. I just find that it's more comfortable with the arms in this position, okay? So at the same position basically again, we're going to work the legs a little bit this time, okay? So we're going to start off with some heel kicks. So the head comes down. We're going to kick our heels up to our bum, and we're going to do a bounce, bounce, lower, change legs. Bounce, bounce, lower, change legs. Okay, so do a little couple of bounces at the top. Okay, and then we switch legs. That's our first one. On the second one, we're doing swimming legs. So we're going to keep the leg nice and straight. We're going to feel like we're lengthening the legs, so feel like you're really reaching with the legs so much that it just hovers off the mat a little bit. Can you see? It's just hovering up a little bit. And then you lower it back down again. So you've got to think of reaching with the leg, lengthening out the leg, and then you get a little hover, rather than thinking of trying to lift the leg up as high as you can on that one. Okay? Let's do our heel kicks first, shall we? So overlap your fingertips and rest your forehead down on your hands again. So again, nodding the chin to the chest as you come down. Feet are about hip width. Shoulders are down. See if you can engage those abdominals. Just draw them in a little bit. Okay, you can start with either leg. You know, kick the heels up to your bum. So here we go. Let's kick them up and we'll do a bounce, bounce, lower, change legs, bounce, bounce, lower, change legs. Wonderful. So it doesn't matter if your feet don't come up too high to your bum, that's okay. If you feel a bit of pulling on the front of your thigh, it just means that those muscles in the front of the thigh are just a little tight, but that's easily sorted with a bit of stretching. Now, as you're doing this, your hip bones at the front of your pelvis there should be sinking down into the mat. So let's see if we can keep the hips into the mat. We don't want them to lift as we kick those feet up. Nice and steady again. Nice and controlled. Fabulous. That's looking good. Let's just do one more on the other leg. So we do a bounce, bounce, and lower. Fantastic. Okay, let's do our swimming legs. So this time, keeping the legs super straight and just hovering them and reaching with them. So here we go. We're going to take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, take one leg, feel like you're lengthening it out. Really reach with that big toe and just see if your leg will hover a little bit up off the mat and then lower it back down. And then we'll do it again on the other side. So we'll reach with the leg, lengthen it out. See if it will hover a little bit up off the mat and then lower it back down. Wonderful. Off we go again. So we're going to breathe out, reach and lengthen with the leg. Wonderful. So remember on this one, it's not about how much height you can get on this one. It's all about lengthening out the leg. Okay? So as you float that leg, imagine you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your big toe. Okay? Rather than lifting it up. Again, keeping the hip bones down into the mat if you can. Wonderful. Should we just do one more? Here we go. Float and reach with the leg and lower back down. Wonderful. Okay, so if you're okay on your knees, we're going to just push up into an all fours position from here, just so we can have a little stretch. Okay, if you're not great on your knees, you can sit this one out. We're going to do a couple more after this one. So all we're going to do is a little shell stretch. We're going to sit back towards our feet as far as you can and reach your arms forward as far as you can. So that gives your spine, your back a nice stretch all the way down. Wonderful. And then you can come up to sitting. Okay, so we'll finish in sitting on the mats. Okay. So we'll sit, I'm going to sit with my knees bent, got my legs together. Okay, we're only going to be here for a second just as we do this little stretch. I've got my arms down by the side. I'm trying to sit up as tall as I can, so I've got the abdominals pulled in to help to support me. You're going to pick one arm up and you're going to send it up over the top. And you're just going to flex to the side a little bit. And then you're going to bring that arm all the way back down. And then you're going to do it with the other arm. So we send it up and over the top, have a little stretch. Wonderful, that looks nice. Here we go again, we'll do a couple more. So we'll reach over, get that nice stretch down the side of the body, not reaching too far though. Don't want to overstretch. Fabulous. Wonderful. Now, just separate the feet a little bit. Actually, I've got one quite wide, haven't I? My feet are just a little bit wider than my shoulders. I've got my hands in front. I'm sitting up nice and tall again. I'm going to have a little spine stretch. Actually, I think I'll do it from the side so you can see a bit easier. Okay, all we're going to do, we're going to drop our heads down and we're going to reach the hands forward across the mat. So we're sliding the hands forward, getting another nice stretch down the length of the spine. And then we're sitting up nice and tall again. Here we go. One more time. Drop the head down. Reach the arms forward as far as you can. Nice little stretch. And then come all the way back up to sitting. Fabulous.